Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to our Wall of Fame conversation. First of all, let us congratulate Lou and Kathy in winning this year's Wall of Fame, and that we can't be in person this year. We're delighted to have them do this video with us. And we're also fortunate to have another Wall of Fame winner, David Freund, engage in the conversation and offer questions for them to comment on. So we look forward to doing that, and I'm going to turn it over to you, David.
Great, thanks, Randy. Welcome everyone. Again, congratulations, Kathy. Congratulations, Lou. This is our next best thing to being able to sit there in those beautiful stickly chairs and have a conversation together. So just hope you just relax. For those folks that have joined us, if you have some questions that you'd like to ask, please prepare for those questions. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and Marissa, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can just put those into the chat type of thing. But I had sent some questions ahead of time because nobody wants to just be blindsided with a bunch of questions. And the first question is going to be really easy, and we're going to start with Kathy. Kathy, if you could just introduce yourself to us, introduce your company to us, the products that you make, the markets you serve, that type of thing.
Oh, good morning, everybody. First, I just want to thank everyone, for this honor, because it's a huge honor, and I'm really appreciative of it. And just being in that company of the people that are for the Hall of Fame for MACNY is huge. So thank you for that. So my name is Kathy Elimo. I'm president at Syracuse Label and Surround Printing. And our company was founded in 1967 and was in a garage in North Syracuse with just one press, printing pressure-sensitive labels. And we were sold in 1987 to two individuals, Peter Rhodes and Dan Herman. And through succession planning in 2007, we became 100% employee owned. Peter Rhodes sold the company to the employees. And so today we are 100% employee owned. And we print pressure-sensitive labels, flexible packaging, shrink sleeves, roll-fed labels, and lightweight cartons. And some of the markets that we serve is food and beverage, cosmetic, forestry, automotive, pretty much distillery. We do a lot with distilleries and those type of beverage companies. So we have 100 employees, and we work 2 shifts. We're located at 200 Stewart Drive in North Syracuse. We moved to, built a brand new building in 2016. So we love our new home. It's state of the art. And then just this past year, we finished an addition. So we're now 85,000 square feet.
Wow, great. Thank you so much. Lou, how about you?
All right, good morning, everybody. What a huge honor. Thank you so much. It's such a privilege to be recognized by our peers. It's, still odd to be on that wall, so to speak. It'll be eerie to see it finally. Hopefully we can do that again someday, be in person to see that. But thank you so much. And, it's really a testament to all our employees that have helped get us here. So again, my name is Lou Dement. I'm the CEO of Giovanni Foods. We are a 3rd generation family business company. Started with my grandfather over 80 years ago with my uncle and my grandmother making pasta sauce for people in Oswego, New York. It was part of a tavern, and they, Italian women like to cook for people that would come to the tavern, and that was my grandmother and my great aunt Conchetta. They would make the Dement's pasta sauce, and it grew in popularity. So when my dad graduated from RIT, he went back to work for the family business and carried that legacy on, and turned it from a mom and pop thing to a little bit bigger, and started selling to grocery stores. And along my childhood, I just watched, and I was amazed at how things were made from a very early start. My mother talks about how in her arms I was just blown away and didn't want to leave the place. When I'd leave, I'd start crying. It's still that way today, so don't ask my employees that they make fun of me about when I cry, or when I leave I cry, but just kidding. I you know, we've grown a lot over the years. We grew up in Oswego, a very small 30 by 30 production space. And then we've had a small warehouse off that, but we've grown from Oswego. Then we moved to Liverpool to a 60,000 square foot facility just over, I think, like 12, 13 years ago. And then bought out Ventry Packing, who was, Marty Ventry was looking to go to the next chapter of his life. And it just so happened we were working together on some stuff, and we were able to take over that facility and some really great employees. That was about, I think, 8 or 9 years ago. And then we just moved to this facility here in Baldwinsville. So this is our 4th spot, and hopefully it's my last time. I don't want to move again. But it's been terrific for us. We now have 200 employees. We manufacture everything food. So mostly things red. So pasta sauce, salsa, barbecue sauce. We're also doing some organic apple cider vinegar. We bottle in, we do it in glass, plastic, cans, and we also do flexible pouching. So we really do a lot of different products. We probably have, 700 or 800 SKUs of different flavors and different types of products. And we mostly just almost 50-50. We serve the private label foods, which is a store brand, or a contract manufacturer, which would be for a national brand of a product that we would be their packer. So you won't necessarily see our label and our name on the back of someone's label. It would be, we don't need our name in lights. Our folks really love making food, good quality food, and just staying in the backdrop. We tried doing our own brand. We do have a little bit of business, 1 or 2% of business that's our own brand, but it's really hard to get out there and market it. We really like to work with other partners that have already done a really good job at that part. So that's us. Hopefully I answered that fully.
Thanks, Lou. Lou, before I forget, if somebody wanted to buy a product made by Giovanni Foods locally, where would they find it?
So we sell our own brand at TJ Maxx and Marshalls a little bit. You can come right here and pull up, and I'll hand deliver it to your car. There's a few stores around that carry even the Luigi Giovanni brand, but most of it would be found with product you find on the store shelves. We're not at liberty to say who we pack for, sure, unfortunately, because when we, our brand, the brands we represent, they like to pretend that they're the name out front, and we, sure, we love respecting that because that's our bread and butter. So that was hard in the beginning because a lot of our co-packing arrangements were mostly out of state. But a sure, lot of those store chains have come into this area, and it's been really rewarding for our employees to be able to go out there and show their families, sure, product on the shelf.
But the TJ Maxx and Marshalls,
that would be our Tuscan Traditions
yep,
brand. It's, in the state of Washington, it's one of the biggest selling brands just by accident.
Yep.
So it's really tough to market. So we kind of backed off of that,
sure,
spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to go out and market. I'd rather,
right, thank you. Thanks for sharing that, Lou, because I know you do, you can go to TJ Maxx and Marshalls and find that Tuscan brand, which is a great sauce. So the next question that I'd like to ask both of you, and we'll start again with Kathy. Tell us something about you that we wouldn't know, or maybe something even your employees might not know.
I was voted class clown in high school.
Okay. Great. So, Kathy, would your employees, when they hear this, would they be able to connect with that? Would they say, "Oh yeah, I could see that"? Or
I think in some situations, yes,
okay,
because back in the day, I used to be quite the jokester.
Okay.
So
good.
I can actually share a funny story now that you're bringing that up. But
Please do.
Back in the day, when Roscoe Town was our owner, I was fooling around, and I was very young at that point, but and we had made these pink labels, and it was around Easter time, and so I put them on, and I was holding them up above my head, the two pink ears, and I heard him coming up the stairs, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I can't get stuck with this." I caught doing this, and when I did, they fell onto my head, and they were a permanent adhesive. So I had to separate all my hair off to get them off, but yeah. So that's a story from way back.
That's great. Great story. Lou, how about you?
Kathy, did my wife Cheryl help you get that out of your hair?
I know.
It's hysterical. Mine's not as funny. Well, I'm somewhat of a computer geek. I grew up in college. I did IT, and then I studied information technology, and then I worked for Cisco Foods for 2 years as their network administrator. And so I was a little geeky. And then the other thing that I thought would be interesting is I absolutely love to go out and chainsaw. I love running a chainsaw. It's very therapeutic. I know it sounds destructive, but my son and our family likes trails, and behind our property, we have some state property, and I like making trails for him and his dirt bike. And hopefully I can ride my snowmobile this year, but I don't know. The snow hasn't been great the last few years. But
Great. Thanks for sharing that. That's very cool. So I'm going to actually start with Lou this time, just to give Kathy a little bit of a break. Tell us, what has been your path to leadership? How did you get to, coming into the business to running the business?
Well, being third generation, I definitely was born into it. I was fascinated from a very early age to get involved with the business with my father. And I was growing up, learning every different piece of the business. I was involved in all aspects of it, because it was just basically him and I and my mother that were in the office, and then we continued to grow and needed more people. So I learned a lot, even being out in the facility, working every job. So that's really how I built the foundation to understanding, and it helps me as I talk to people that I've been there, done that. I mean, a little bit, not as well as they do it, but I understand a lot of the functions, and now it's more operators versus like pick things up, put them down, but,
Sure.
But working for my dad, unfortunately, my dad passed away, very suddenly. So I was kind of thrust into the kind of like leadership role. We were kind of going that route, and but I was hopeful that my dad would stick around, and he had like an engineering mind, so I thought he'd always like be developing new ways to work on equipment and make things run better, faster, smarter,
Sure.
But I took over for him after we moved into Liverpool. It was about a year and a half in, and from there I just I didn't know how to be the lead guy. I thought I did, and I thought I wanted to make sauce for a living, but this job is not anything like making sauce for a living, so and it changes every day, I think. But and in order to get into that role, I joined a lot of groups, and the Family Business Center at Lemoyne, YPO, Strategic Coach, all these things I did to try and figure out how to become a leader. Even worked with David. You and I worked together a little bit, and over the years, just trying to get into that role of like, what do you do, in this spot? So it's been it's a lifelong journey, I think.
Yeah. Lou, how old were you when your dad passed away?
So I think 33.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Thanks for sharing that. Kathy, how about you? Your path to leadership.
So I started at Syracuse Label in 1981, so 39 years ago. And when I started out as a billing clerk, and I was typing invoices on a typewriter. And so I back then we only had 16 employees, so you really had to learn everything. Everybody did whatever needed to be done. So if it was slow for typing invoices, then I had worked in the dark room making negatives to make plates for the press, and we actually learned how to run all the different equipment and everything. And through the years, then I started learning accounts payable, accounts receivable. I became the bookkeeper, and then I became office manager. And in 1987, when Peter Rhodes and Dan Herman came, that was a huge opportunity for me because they didn't really have any experience in printing, but they had a ton of experience in leading companies and in business. So Peter Rhodes kind of took me under his wing. We got to work together for 25 years, and he taught me a ton about leading people, integrity, just the different traits that you have to be successful in business, being honest, and those type of things. So I'm always thankful to him for that. But then I became a VP of operations, and then in 2007, I became president. And like I said, our company was then we were 100% employee owned in November of 2007. So I kind of worked my way up. I also have run a press, a two-color. It's very difficult. I give kudos to all the guys and girls out there, all the different equipment that they run, because they're all experts, and I'm really lucky to have them.
Wow, great. Thank you. What a great story. So, Kathy, I'm going to stay with you. How have the realities of 2020 affected your business? This is a year like no other year that I've lived through. How has it affected your business?
So we were deemed an essential business because we do provide printing labels for food and beverage, as well as pharmaceutical and health products. We also have we have customers in the sanitizing business. So we actually never missed a beat here. And it forced us into tech. We had technology, the basis for it, but we had never tried working out of the office or anything like that. So it really pushed us to immediately do that so that we could, allow people to work from home, to try to keep us as separated as possible. Our main focus was to keep our plant running. So we had to segregate the plant from the office, which was very difficult because we work very, in conjunction with each other. When we're discussing artwork or customer requirements or whatever, we're kind of a close-knit group. So people couldn't come from from the plant over into the office over into the plant. They had to come in different doors. It was really strange. But then, going into having the PPE equipment, people of course didn't want to wear masks and, that type of thing. But I really look to this, and the employee ownership culture that we have here has been phenomenal because, they bought in, they understand that this is our business, that we have a stake in this business, and, these are all the requirements that we have to do. As far as our customers, a lot of them are working from home, so we've had to get creative there, using different platforms, Zoom and Microsoft Teams and things like that, just like everybody has had to do. We're still trying to figure that out, how to still stay relevant with them, and keep them encouraged too along the way. So
Sure.
Yeah, it's been helpful. One thing that was helpful, I want to say though, is the Keep People Safe program through MACNY. It was really interesting to hear what other people were doing because we all were learning this at the same time. There was no book we could go to or anybody we could call up and say, geez, how do we do this or that? So we kind of learned it with other manufacturers. Even though we're all different, we all have the same kind of issues that we're, trying to keep our businesses open and keep everyone safe and that. So that's been really beneficial for us.
Great. Thanks so much for sharing that. Lou, how about you? How has 2020 affected your business?
Yeah. Before I get into that, I want to dovetail off of what Kathy was saying. The cohort's been great to be able to network with other manufacturers around our area and be able to discuss real problems or real opportunities for solutions to figure this thing out. So it's been great to partner with MACNY. And it's a good plug in the middle because I think it's important for our community, and the folks that are watching, I think will get a lot out of it. So
thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just thinking back on this time. We went into this year with some real high hopes for our business, and we had some new opportunities coming along, some big contracts with some major customers that I'd love to brag about it, but I can't mention their name. But it's some serious opportunities for our growth even into the next decade. And we were really excited for that. And then the coronavirus hit, and we were deemed essential as well. We manufacture food, so that was deemed as an essential business. And it's all 99% of our business is retail. So I think everybody can recall going in the stores and seeing empty shelves of, I know, toilet paper and paper goods, but also pasta sauce. I mean, I would get pictures from customers where the entire aisle was completely vacant of pasta sauce. And some of our customers were ordering 2, 3, 4 times what they normally would order. So we've not stopped, and we were working round the clock and Saturdays, and we didn't at the time have 2 shifts. So it was really challenging, and navigating, the business situation where, a lot of us had to, learn quickly to be remote. So the technology piece was mostly there. So it was really a blessing to have a lot of that already in place. But that divide that Kathy was talking about, that was a real challenge for us. And so we try to do different things, more opportunities for, like, we do videos to send out to our employees because we couldn't meet them in person, try and communicate what the COVID response needs to be, what the PPE response needs to be, so that we did a lot of new and different things. And I think and in many ways it'll make us better in the end, but going through it was like daunting for sure. And I want to give a lot of credit to our employees because they saw this as an opportunity to become, their local hero, so to speak. I definitely don't put us up there with, our medical and police and so forth, but to provide food, they took a lot of pride in that, and that was their opportunity to be on the front lines of this disease, and they really took that to heart, and they put their blood, sweat, and tears into that opportunity. And some of them were impacted by the virus, but thankfully there was no communication of the virus within our plant. So I give a lot of credit to our people because they did everything they had to do. If they didn't feel good, they didn't show up. They just gave us a call. So they've been pretty amazing. So it's been a real interesting time.
That's great. Thanks so much. I think this would be a good time to see some of the questions that we might have from our audience here. So I'm not sure if Randy, if it's you or if it's Marissa, but if you could give us a couple of the questions.
Thanks, David. Actually, the question came from John Tremble. Maybe he can ask the question a little easier. John, you want to unmute and ask your question?
Sure. Kathy, I was curious, you mentioned you're employee owned. I was curious whether you had an ESOP or not. And either way, how do you establish ownership levels?
So we are 100% ESOP, and we are, it was a leveraged financial transaction. So used all the assets of the company to purchase the stock from the owner. So in the beginning, of course, just like a conventional mortgage, the bank really owns the company. And then we would pay down the debt. And as we paid down the debt, the shares are released to the employee owners. So it is based on compensation, very much like a 401k or a profit sharing plan. And that's the shares that they get. And each year, as the shares are, as people retire, or if they leave the company, then the shares are redistributed back to the ownership to all the employees of the company. So we're fully paid our debt. So now all of our shares have been released. So now we're fully owned.
Great, thank you, Kath.
Yep.
And John, I think you also have a question for Lou.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that. Lou, I was just curious where you source your ingredients from, whether that's local, national, combination, just curious.
Yeah, most of our ingredients, so we're a tomato-based manufacturer. The tomato paste, most of it comes from California. So it comes in big 3,000-pound bins that's shipped via rail car across the country. Most of our spices and garlic and onion are, sourced from other parts of the world. We work with a local company called All Seasonings. I don't know if they're a member of MACNY or not, but they're a great company. So they do all that sourcing for us. Glass and so forth is, some of it comes from Auburn. So that's good, but we try to source as much local as we can, but the sheer volume of what we're buying makes it challenging, especially because like if you see tomatoes in a field, we can't handle the raw fruit or raw vegetable. I don't know what side of the fence you guys are on, but we can't handle the that raw fruit. We need to have it processed. So we, and some of our products, like some of our tomatoes come from Italy for certain customers. So we're sourcing from all over the place.
Great. Thanks, Lou.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Randy, do we have any questions that I didn't see, or should I go on to some of my others?
You should keep going.
Okay.
I'll look for more. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I'm trying to see things, so that's why we've got Randy and Marissa trying to help guide me through this. So go back to Kathy. So Kathy, if you think back in your life, what's one of the greatest lessons you learned, and how did you learn it?
So about 15 years ago, we had decided to embark on lean manufacturing. So we went to an outside source and we got training for the entire plant and training on the lean principles. And we put together a group so that we could perform a Kaizen. And we actually brought in an intern from SU. And we started looking at, what were we going to do to make changes to our operation. So he was, ready to, that intern from SU, he was a very driven guy. And so as we came up with some things we wanted to make a change, we all agreed, this is what we're going to do. He had come into my office one day and he said, hey, I was thinking, while the inspectors are at lunch, I'm going to go ahead and make the change out on the floor because we're going to put in shadow boards. And he said, I'll just take the tools and, we'll start to make the shadow boards and everything. And I thought, geez, what a great idea, because now we won't disturb him when he comes back to lunch and he has to, get the workout for the day. So this is great. So sure, go ahead. So he did. And as soon as the inspector came back, who was an inspector who'd been there a long time, an older inspector, he was enraged because what had happened is all of his tools had been taken, everything that he used, all the things he's familiar with, his operations, and just were taken away. And what he came back to was this shadow board that had, like a very few tools on it. So it kind of was like we had stripped him of all of his things that he needed to perform his job. So he was livid, and it just took such a long time to talk him off that ledge because, and it made me realize that was a huge error because here I'm thinking only about the efficiency of it, not about the person or about communicating or about, having the buy-in of this individual and explaining, because it took quite a bit to get him to buy in after that. I mean, he did eventually, of course, but a huge lesson for me and to communicate to people. So that's something that's very forefront with me now. When any change is coming, or even if it's just a slight change, make sure that everybody's included and understands and has their say in it, because it's just much easier, to down the road as you're trying to unveil new things.
Sure.
So.
Great. Thank you. What a great story. Lou, how about you?
Yeah, I was thinking about this a little bit. I think I get to ask the question quite a bit, like, why do you want to grow? Why has your company, why are you so insistent on growing? It made me think about the purpose of the whole growth and why we were doing it. And it brought me back to when I would receive the phone calls on Mondays asking, when we were in Oswego, asking if we had work. And a lot of my employees back then, and, we only had 15 or 16 employees, they carried 2 or 3 jobs. And if we didn't have work for them that week, they might be, out a meal or, really suffering. And that's what really left an imprint on me is I don't want to have to do that anymore. Even, just in recent memory, 8 or so years ago, we used to do a lot of USDA contracts, and we would live and die by the USDA bids. And there would be summers where we didn't have work. And it was really, I think it really shaped my leadership style, and why we do what we do. It is for the people. We're trying to create opportunities where they have sustainable work. It's not because we want to build a new building and have bigger space or fancier things. Those things are nice, but really the purpose was, and that I think that's what really has been the foundation. And it's been a blessing coming back. I worked from home for like a month and a half, just in case our VP of Ops had gotten the disease. But then coming back, I can't travel anymore. So I've been spending a lot of time out on the floor, and it's been really rewarding. I try not to make too many messes, like create too many issues out on the floor and change too many things on my people. But it's been really great to see the people, and they're really, it's where I'm normally traveling. So it's been pretty rewarding in that.
Sure. Great. Thanks so much, Lou. So Nate, I think you've got a question that you'd like to ask them about their moves. So go ahead and unmute yourself and ask it.
So both of you have either expanded and or relocated facilities recently. We did as well. About 18 months ago, we moved to a new location. COVID was such a tumultuous time, but there's nothing else more tumultuous than relocating or expanding a facility. So I guess my question for both of you is, what were lessons learned that you did right and you did wrong throughout that process?
Kathy, I guess we'll start with you. So.
Okay, let's see. What we did right is involve every individual in our company. They all joined on, and it's the only reason we were able to do it. We actually moved our facility in 6 weeks because we never missed a beat as far as for our customers. So we never actually shut down. We would move each press, and as each press came up, we would run it around the clock 7 days a week. So our employees didn't take breaks, or didn't take any kind of breaks. They took breaks. They didn't take any vacations. So they worked straight through to allow us to do it successfully. What we did wrong is I think that we did a lot of planning to prepare for the move, and keeping communication with everybody. I think we probably could have done better with as far as, it's just like when you're in the thick of it though, especially moving the warehouse was our hardest, because think about moving all those rolls of material. And we ended up moving a lot of material that probably we shouldn't have moved, and things we shouldn't have moved that we should have probably done a better job of cleaning out after being in the same building for 40 years. So I guess I would say that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kathy. Lou, how about you?
Nate, I'll answer the question if you get on the Peloton in the back there, buddy. What we did right is we waited until the right time to do it. We were patient about the move. We had been wanting to move because the facility we're in at Court Street was 67,000 square feet, and we're working out of actually, I think it was 5 warehouses. So the logistics of that was really challenging, but we were patient, and the right opportunity came along. I think that's something we did right, and a lot of planning and organizing, and I think we had the right people. My VP of Ops and the whole team did an amazing job moving us, because we had to move from. We took possession of the building in January, and we were starting to run in June, and it was a big move to move a whole production line, and we had at the time 3 production lines, so the team did an amazing job. I think in hindsight, the things I would have done differently, I I would have put a lot more emphasis on engineering and putting better plans on the forefront. I say that, but it was a time crunch. The opportunity came along, and I think we did pretty good. But I think just the overall engineering of it and the planning of how things were going to be put back into place could have been done differently with some other partners maybe.
Great, thanks, Lou. Jim Beckman, you've got a question for both of them. Why don't you go ahead and ask it?
Sure. Curious, did you have any marketing plans delayed or altered to bring some new products to market that COVID changed that? And if you did, how did you figure out how to get around it and get back on track?
I can go ahead if you want, Kathy. So we had, we're always, I guess, going out there to the trade show. Marketing for us is mostly business to business. It's all business to business. So we didn't really have any other marketing plans other than what we normally do. Like we normally go to the private label food show and so forth, and all that got canceled, obviously. So our marketing has pretty much taken a dive in terms of expenses and so forth, which has been fine because we haven't really needed to put the push on because of the coronavirus and those other accounts coming on board. There have been some major delays for our new customers that we had lined up because of their coronavirus situation, or excuse me, the equipment that we had to bring in. So those manufacturers of those equipment had delays. So that's really impacted us and our ability to get things going. And then the sheer volume that we're dealing with has not allowed us to keep the cadence we would have liked for our new opportunities to start on time. So that's definitely been, for us, that's been a challenge for sure.
Kathy, how about you?
So for us, we were in a good position in the fact that we had already brought in some new equipment. We've actually brought some new equipment in during this COVID, which has been a little dicey, but it's happened. And so we have been spending a lot of our time preparing for when people do open up and they're back to their normal business. So we have been moving forward with our marketing and the different products that we want to introduce once things, so we've been doing a lot of testing out in the plant and a lot, coming up with some new features that we can offer our customer, new embellishments to, be able to bring some other customers over with some different materials, flexible packaging, shrink sleeves, that type of work, which is the area that we're really focusing on right now.
Great, thanks, Kathy. So, Jim, it looks like you have another question, so go ahead and ask.
Yeah, this is obviously the COVID whole thing is classified as a crisis, and having been through a couple of myself over my career, I've learned that people rise to the occasion. You both have given some wonderful examples of that. But after the adrenaline wears off and the crisis goes on, how do you keep them up? How do you keep them motivated? How do you keep them from getting in the dumps? Which, there's a whole psychological thing here. As leaders, how have you figured that out?
Well, we've spent a lot of energy into doing just that, because keeping people positive, and especially in the very beginning, there was a lot of uncertainty, which we were all facing. So one of the things that we've done is try to have as many possible events that are not in person. So we would still have our cookout, but we would bag that lunch for them. So it would be bagged, and they would get it that way. So it wasn't the normal interaction that we would have, but we'd have food trucks come where, and then we would, have to get creative about how people could get it, but just trying to do things just to keep people positive, and food seems to do that. So that's one of the things we've really been focusing on. And communication. We have digital dashboards out in the plant, so keeping people apprised of what's going on. Some of the organizations that we're belonging to. So, I brought up earlier the Keep People Safe, letting them know that, we are talking to other people. So we're making sure that we're keeping relevant with all of the different protocols that have to be put into place. What are we doing to protect them as far as, processes or procedures or things like that, just to make sure that everybody stays healthy. We just had a flu clinic. So here outside, just trying to be innovative that way.
Great. Thanks, Kathy. Lou, how about you?
Yeah, I think we've done a lot of the same things. We can't do the normal, cookout and so forth. So we were able to have our chef do a nice cookout for everybody, and we were able to serve it, but you're all hazmated up, PPE, and we're able to just hand out like a boxed lunch. So we all took turns, people in our office, handing that out in such a fashion that we felt was safe. A lot of food trucks doing ice cream sandwiches here and brownies and cookies, just trying to show our appreciation, because they are working intensely. We just instituted a new cafeteria where they can grab and pay for their own stuff automatically. It's like a different layout. So we're trying to do a lot of different things. And I mentioned the videos. I hope that's been impactful. I mean, unfortunately, it's this mug right here that's out there doing the communicating, but hopefully it's been impactful to try and still connect with people. And as I said, even though you're in face masks and goggles and so forth, all of our staff out there, we're trying to get in front of them at a safe level to really engage with them, understand what's going on as much as we can. And I think it's been working. I think we have a tremendous crew, and we're at about 130 now. We're trying to get to, we'll probably be at 200 by the end of the year. And we're growing pretty quick. So that makes it even more challenging.
Sure. Great. Thanks, Lou.
Yeah.
Tim's got a question about staffing. So Tim, why don't you just go ahead and unmute yourself and you can ask the question.
So follow up on that, what challenges are you having staffing your organization?
I can go ahead. So during the virus, the time where the people were getting unemployment insurance, it was extremely challenging. We were trying to start a second shift, and we couldn't. We're really having trouble hiring people. So what we've done to overcome that, as that subsided a little bit, we did a whole digital marketing campaign to advertise all the jobs we have, and we've had a significant impact with that. So we've had a lot of good wins in that regard, but we're still trying to hire just as fast as we can, and it is one of our biggest challenges. Just getting the amount of people in the door that are qualified to work, and we're trying to find people that like to work in the food business. So hopefully some of them are watching today and come on over and apply.
Kathy, how about you?
Well, when it first started, of course, we were on lockdown, so we weren't letting anybody in. So we stopped hiring because we didn't want people walking through our facility. So then probably about 2 months ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, we then went back, and we have a great HR manager. She's been doing a great job at recruiting, but it was tough. I agree with Lou. I mean, with people collecting the unemployment, it has wreaked havoc with even just, the salaries that Dunkin' Donuts paying, and, all the entry level type positions. That's been challenging for us. So we, find those diamonds in the rough every now and then, but it takes a long time to find those people that are going to fit your culture and are going to be the type of people that you want to have as part of your staff. So we're still working through that.
Great. Thanks, Kathy. Just, want to remind everyone about the career and talent platform that MACNY has. So make sure you're part of that. Make sure you're posting your jobs, because the more jobs get posted, the more people will be attracted to that platform. I'm going to put one of my questions back in now, and we'll start with Kathy, then we'll go to Lou. So if you had to recommend one book for somebody to read, what would you recommend, Kathy?
It's called It's Your Ship, and it's by Captain D. Michael Abershaw. I got a lot out of that book. I actually heard him speak, and it's about the worst performing ship in the Navy and how he and his team turned that ship around to be the best performing ship in the Navy. And it just some of the techniques that he used and the teamwork and the different techniques was really, I thought, enlightening to me.
Great, thank you so much. Lou, how about you?
Well, just the one that comes to mind is the most recent book that I listened to. I didn't read as much as I listened to it. But The Goal by Eli Goldratt.
Oh, yeah.
It really, it was kind of cool. Like some of the characters and they remind me of people within our company and just the different ways of looking at the problem. Are we asking the right questions and are we looking at the problem from the right perspective? And,
right.
And it's, just because it looks good as an efficiency factor doesn't mean it necessarily means the right thing for your bottom line. The goal, you got to make money for the company. So
you do.
It definitely was. It's a good read. Like it's interesting to hear because it's more like a story.
Right.
And I think that's the first business book that I read like that. So you'll really enjoy it. And I know, Dave, you've read it. So
great book. We all need to find our Jonah that we can bump into from time to time to help us figure out.
Yeah. If you meet him, send him my way, would you?
Yeah, exactly. So one last question for me, and then this is kind of that last opportunity for folks on watching to ask a question. What are you learning right now? So let's start with Kathy. So right now, what's Kathy Elimo learning?
Okay, so this is in all capital letters. Patience.
Patience.
Patience. Patience with everything that's going on outside of our company. All the different things that we have had to change, and still all the uncertainties of when things will get back to normal.
Sure.
What's coming? What's looming over us right now?
Yep.
And just taking it one day at a time. Which, Randy, I do get a lot from your articles you write every morning. I read them every morning. Because you really do have to step back and just say, okay, bring it down a notch. Just, work your way through, because if you let it take over, it could be devastating. So to me, I'm really been learning patience and just slow down, think through it, be more thoughtful on, a process before
Right.
I just leap into it.
Great. Thank you so much. Lou, how about you?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that. How much my morning routines of, I call it my, I get up and pray and read and work out, like that mind, body, soul thing, is very foundational to me, and how much that has helped me through this time.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I'm learning right now is how much my role is kind of shifted. I'm usually a high fact finder, but now I'm more like a quick start. So I'm doing things a little bit differently because I've kind of needed to change the game a little bit. It's really spending more time on the floor, figuring out how we can change our process and improve on it, because
Sure.
Just when we've grown so much, I think it's exposed some opportunities, to help us break down some of those foundational things. And, it's really changed my role. And because I can't, my unique ability is getting out and seeing customers and vendors and building those relationships. Well, more importantly now, I think, is building those relationships within our facility,
Sure.
with our employees, and it's really helped bring that into light. And I think that's a gap I had before that I'm really trying to improve on.
Great. Thank you so much. Well, Kathy and Lou, first, I want to congratulate you again. Well-deserved honor. Very accomplished folks that have built organizations in Central New York, focused on making our community a better place and giving people great jobs. congratulations. So happy that you're being recognized in this way. Thank you for taking this time for all of us to listen to you and gain some wisdom from you. Randy, I turn it back to you.
Thank you. Also, I want to thank you, Kathy and Lou. What a great job. One of the advantages of doing it this way is getting these questions from those who joined us, and I want to thank everyone for joining us. I will look forward to seeing your plaques placed on the wall. I hope you'll get a chance to, in the near term, stop by and see them, and as we have many, many events there, but you will be welcome to the Wall of Fame. You've deserved your place there. And thanks everyone for spending so much time with us this morning. We look forward to seeing you all in person. Everyone have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Oh, by the way, one quick plug for Thursday, our last event, we'll be talking about the future of manufacturing. I'm actually going to be joined by Harry Mosier, who is an expert in reshoring. So hopefully you'll have a chance to join me for the final event on Thursday. If you haven't registered, you still can. Thank you so much, and have a great day, everybody.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.